beginning, Justine is labeled as a witch. We watch from her perspective as her life is torn apart. It's easy to put the blame on her when all but one of her kids in her class goes missing. But what the community didn't know is there's a much stronger force at play here. We watch from different characters' perspectives as a horror tale unfolds. The real witch is revealed. She will use her blood-stained wand to control people and make them zombies. She targets children to use them as weapons. A kid whose whole life has been destroyed because of her. His parents are zombies and his classmates no longer talk. But she will pay for all the misery she caused and be outsmarted by a kid named Alex who she thought she could control with fear. Hey spooky beaches, and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be reviewing the movie Weapons. I love this movie. I don't like a lot of newer horror movies. I think they're either all gore, no story, or don't make sense, or whatever. I just don't. Newer movies, horror movies are not my thing. But I saw this one because I saw the craze on it on TikTok, and I literally watched it on Christmas. And then I rewatched it like a week later because I loved it so much. And then I rewatched it again for this video. And I'm not shitting you, I'm scared every single time. I watch a lot of horror movies. I'm very desensitized. Like, nothing really gets me anymore. But this movie had like 2 insane jump scares. It's just unsettling. It has you at your edge of your seat. It's just the one word I can say for him, like, to describe it all is unsettling. It is unsettling and it's terrifying. So, with that said, let's get into it. I would like to give a trigger warning. This episode of Horror Movie Reviews, we will be mentioning and discussing topics of child abuse, addiction, and alcoholism. That may be upsetting to some viewers. Please take care of yourself. With that said, let's get into it. Directed and written by Zach Cregger, the stars of this movie, and there's a lot: Scarlett Cher, who narrates, Julia Garner as Justine, Carrie Christopher as Alex, Jason Turner as Counselor, Josh Brolin as Archer, Benedict Wong as Marcus, Austin Abrams as James, Alden Ehrenreich as Paul, Eric Jepson as Officer, Whitner Thomas as Alex's dad, Callie Scurtera as Alex's mom, June Diane Raphael as Donna, Sarah Paxton as Erica, and Amy Madison as Gladius. Gladius? Oh my god, I'm having the biggest brain fart right now. The main character, what the fuck is her name? Gladius? It's fucking Gladys. Gladys. Aunt Gladys. Got it. We got there eventually. Okay, let's unravel this twisted horror story together. In the beginning, we see a black screen with a voice telling us that this is a true story, and that a lot of people died in weird ways. At Maybrook Elementary on a Wednesday, a new teacher walks into her class and sees all but one of her kids were missing. The one boy named Alex was the only one who came to school that day. The narrator tells us, the night before at 2:17 a.m., all the kids left their beds and walked out into the darkness and never came back. We watch all the kids sprint while they have their arms out in a T stance, like their arms are wings. The police showed up and searched the houses. There are parents whose alarms were tripped, and some had cameras showing the kids running. No one could tell where the kids went. The police talked with Alex. He told them he didn't know why the kids left. They talked to Miss Gandy, who also didn't know anything. They kept the school closed for a month during the investigation. Before the school was opened, there was a town meeting at the school. This story shows many different characters' perspectives, and we start with Justine, aka Miss Gandy's perspective. Justine talks to the crowd. She said she loves the kids, and the crowd curses at her. Someone gets up and demands her to be locked up until she tells them what happened. After the meeting, Justine stops at a liquor store, and honestly, I can't blame her. She got a call with no ID. Someone tells her to watch her back from the other line. She hesitantly makes her way inside her house, swiftly locking the door behind her. She's making herself a drink when her doorbell rings. She realizes no one is out there, at least that she can see. While she walks away, she hears louder banging on her door. She marches out with pepper spray in her hand and still finds no one outside. She looks around till she sees her car had "Witch" painted on it. Justine meets Paul, a cop, at the bar. We get the hint as viewers they used to be a thing. She notices a wound on his hand. He dismisses it as from work. It seems like he's trying to stop drinking alcohol because he orders a soda and Justine reacts confused. Even though Paul is a wife, they end up going home together. Justine watches as Alex leaves school and follows him home. She rings the doorbell and no one answers. She sees the windows are blacked out by newspapers. She enters the backyard. She finds a sliver of a window that's uncovered. She peers in. She sees Alex's parents sitting on the couch robotically and staring directly at her. There's a chicken outside my window. Ma'am, we're filming. Thank you. She calls the principal and tells him what she saw. He demands she leaves Alex alone. Justine jolts awake from a nightmare to wake up and see a woman on her ceiling, which we later know as Gladys. She screams till the woman is gone. She ends up talking to Alex anyway at his house and asks if he's okay. Alex cuts the conversation and demands she doesn't follow him. He runs inside and Justine bangs on the door. She watches the house all day till she falls asleep in her car. This next scene literally sent shivers down my spine. Like, I was hiding halfway under my blanket, and I don't get like that with a lot of horror movies. Unless it's, like, super gory, but this wasn't even gory. It was just unsettling. It was just creepy. Like, I can't tell you how unsettled I was this whole movie. Like, if I had to give one word description, it's unsettling, and another word, terrifying. Okay, the front door opens. Alex's mom walks out of the house robotically with scissors, like going like this. While she walks, like, scissors in hand, right? She's walking like this. Like a freaking Barbie doll, like, that's... Okay, something I loved about this movie, though, is how unsettling it is. Rewatching this movie for the third time and still being scared says a lot. Alex's mom marches to the car. She stops before opening the car door and sliding in. This scene is so terrifying. I don't even like thinking about it. When you think she's gonna, use those as a weapon, she just cuts Justine's hair, which we'll later figure out why. We switch to another character's perspective, Archer. He's sleeping in his son's room, who's one of the kids that went missing. We're back at the town meeting, and we find out Archer was the one yelling in the crowd at Justine. He watches her go into the liquor store and go home. We watch as viewers and realize Archer was the one who wrote witch on her car. Archer has an out-of-body dream, a nightmare just like Justine had. He watched Matthew, his son, run into a house. Above there is a giant pew-pew, a weapon, floating above it in the sky. He goes into the house, his house. He finds Matthew lying on his bed. He asks where he is. He begs Matthew to talk to him. Suddenly, it's Gladys in the bed, staring back at him with a creepy smile. Archer wakes up the next day and makes a map lining up towers. He finds a house and a lady opens the door. She's also a parent of a kid who went missing. Her husband comes home and Archer approaches him. He shows Archer the camera footage from the night the kids went missing. He counts the steps their daughter walks to and where she goes into the tree line. He realizes where the kids go by the directions they walk to. He hasn't found exactly where they go, just an outline of the possibilities. Archer finds Justine at a gas station. They get into an argument when the principal starts running towards them with his arm stretched out in a T just like the kids. He tackles Justine with a maniac look on his face while he growls. Archer starts to fight him while the principal has this uncanny look on his face. While he's on top of Archer, we switch to a new character's perspective, Paul's. We go back in time again. We learn the officer named Ed is Paul's father-in-law. On patrol, Paul stops a homeless man running. Paul tells him to stop, but he doesn't. He chases him down the street into an alley. He tackles him to the ground. Paul walks him to the car and gets his name, James. He asks James if anything in his pockets are going to poke him when he searches them. James replies no, but we learn he was lying when a needle in his pocket pokes Paul. Then Paul punches James. He realizes his dash cam recorded the whole incident. He wakes up James and he tells him he's going to let him go as long as he never sees him again. Paul urgently talks to Ed back at the station. Ed says he will be fine as long as it goes unreported. Paul gets a text from Justine. That's when he goes to the bar to meet her. The next day, Paul goes home to his wife Donna, who came home early from a work trip. She realizes he drank. At the station, Paul spots James walking up to it. James takes off running while Paul quickly gets in his car to chase him. We switch again to a new point of view, James. James is searching for money. He's breaking into a building and that's when Paul sees him for the first time. After Paul lets him go, James stumbles upon Alex's house. He sees newspapers left on the ground and assumes the house is empty. He finds a way to break in. He sees the house is in bad condition with trash bags filling the kitchen. He jumps back after seeing Alex's parents sitting robotically on the couch. He notices they're frozen and we see these little holes in their faces. He continues to grab a game console before he hears a loud thud upstairs. He goes down to the basement. That's where he finds all the kids, standing, not moving an inch, just standing there in a line staring at the wall. They turn around suddenly, he yells sorry and runs quickly. And then the parents get up from the couch and start walking towards him like zombies. He runs out of the house and the door slams behind him. Back at the pawn shop, he's selling the items he took. He sees a missing sign with all the kids. He also sees the reward for finding them. He goes to the police station and Paul sees him there. He takes off running with Paul after him. In the woods, James sees Gladys waving at him. He takes off to his tent. He grabs his needles as a weapon, not knowing it was Paul approaching his tent. Paul ends up with needles in his face. Paul grabs a pew-pew and James pleads that he knows where the missing kids are. Paul takes James to the house where he saw the kids. James watches as Paul goes inside. It ends up being dark out and Paul is still inside the house, leaving James still in the car. The door reopens and Paul comes out. Paul grabs James out of the car and growls like an animal. We switch perspectives to Marcus, the principal. He's on the phone with Justine. The phone call is where he's telling Justine to leave Alex alone. Marcus says he will talk to Alex's parents at the school. Gladys walks into his office. She explains she's Alex's aunt. Gladys says she's there because the parents have to stay home. Gladys asks who made the complaint. Back at Marcus's house, his husband and him are eating while watching TV. Gladys comes over to his house. She says she missed the bus. She says she's going to collapse. I'd be asking how the hell she knew where I lived if I were them. His husband lets her in. Suddenly, she's perfectly fine once she gets inside. She asks for a bowl of water instead of a glass of water. She grabs a stick with the principal's ribbon on it and cuts her hand open with it. She covers the stick with her blood. As Marcus's husband is handing her a rag, she cuts his hair. She rings a bell and Marcus becomes a zombie just like the others. She ties his husband's hair onto the string, then snaps it. Marcus attacks him, throwing up black goo all over him before beating his head in with his own. Gladys wraps Justine's hair into a new stick, then breaks it. Marcus takes off. Marcus runs to the gas station that Justine and Archer are at. He's covered in his husband's blood. That's where he attacks Justine, which we previously saw from Archer's perspective. Justine runs through the store away from him. Right before he's about to get her, Archer tackles him to the ground again. Justine takes off running. She gets in her car. He punches through the window. She speeds away. Archer walks out with blood all over his hand and gets in his car to chase after them. Archer watches as Marcus is hit with a car. Later in the hospital, Archer explains what happened to an officer. He finds Justine in the waiting room. Justine thanks him. Arthur connects that the way Marcus was running was the same way the kids were running. Archer shows Justine his theory with his map. She tells him they are running to Alex's house. This is the part where we start getting answers on what happened. We switch to Alex's perspective. We're back before the kids went missing. His dad is not zombie-like and picking Alex up from school. The dad tells Alex his mom's aunt Gladys is coming over, which is funny because when Gladys was explaining to the principal how she was part of the family, she said she was Alex's aunt and that his mom was her baby sister. The dad says she's coming because she's sick and has nowhere else to go, which later we'll see she takes advantage of their empathy to help her. Later, Alex snoops in Gladys' room to find a tree plant and her wig. He's scanning the room and makes direct eye contact with Gladys, who now looks more sickly and old compared to when we see her before where she has makeup on and a wig. Alex's dad doesn't pick him up from school the next day. He walks home. He finds his dad and mom sitting zombie-like in the kitchen. Gladys welcomes him home. He notices his parents are not okay. He throws a glass of water at his dad. The next morning, Alex finds his parents are still there sitting at the table. Gladys asks Alex to not tell anyone she's there or that his parents are resting. She grabs a stick and pricks herself. She snaps the stick and Alex's parents start stabbing themselves with forks in the face. Gladys says she can make his parents hurt themselves or each other. She asks if Alex believes her. Alex promises. One night, Gladys is calling Alex. He finds Gladys on the ground. She tells him she's sick. He asks what will make her better. She says she hoped his parents would. Gladys said Alex could help. She tells Alex to bring an object from each one of his classmates home to her. She says if she got better, she'll go home. Alex grabs his classmates' name cards off of their cubbies. Back at his house, Gladys rips the name cards into a bowl. Gladys spits into the bowl, then drops a match into it, and she rings a bell. That's when the kids start running to the house. Gladys brings Alex's parents to the school. Gladys and Alex clean the house for when the police come and search it. She has the kids running outside. She literally, dresses up the mom and dad and brings them to school and, controls them. And I'm like, no one noticed? No one noticed they were acting like Barbie and Ken dolls? Nothing about how they move is natural. Guys, I know you're not going to assume that a witch is using spells and blood sacrifices to control them, but you gotta have known something was up. Anyways, Alex is coming home when he finds a cop car in his driveway. Paul's car. He finds Paul standing still in his house. He turns around and sees James doing the same. Gladys has a line of salt in front of her door, with Alex's parents on the other side. In the morning, he sees Archer's truck sitting out watching the house. Archer and Justine discuss what they should do. Paul comes out of the house and waves for them to come in. They go inside the house. Paul is standing in the corner and waves for Justine to come closer. Archer sees the salt on the floor, right as Justine steps on it. James and Paul come running at her and Archer. Upstairs, Alex goes up to his parents in front of Gladys' room. Alex steps over the salt in front of his parents and they go running after him. He hides in his room. Downstairs, Justine is fighting Paul. Archer fights off James, who won't stop getting up. Archer spots the kids in the basement. Upstairs, Alex is fighting to get away from his parents. He gets into Gladys' room. Justine grabs Paul's pew-pew and aims it at his face and pulls the trigger. Justine also pew-pews James off of Archer. Archer searches the kids for his son. Alex finds Gladys' tree and grabs a branch. As Archer searches the basement, we get this terrifying shot of Gladys standing mouth open at Archer. That scene was so terrifying, and again, just unsettling. Archer attacks Justine. Alex grabs Gladys' hair and wraps it in a branch, then snaps it. Gladys says, "Oh no." The kids come running upstairs at Gladys. She runs out of the house while the kids smash through windows to get to her. She runs through someone's house and the kids come crashing in after her. They run through the neighborhood. They grab her and rip her apart, literally. Archer comes back now that Gladys is dead and searches for Matthew. Justine finds Alex upstairs hugging his parents. Archer finds the kids and Matthew standing over Gladys. The narrator says Alex's parents are still being fed soup somewhere. He moved to live with a different aunt. All of the kids got reunited with their parents and some of them started talking eventually. And that is the end of the story. Here are some facts I gathered from interviews with Zach Cregger, the writer and the director. In an interview with IGN, the director and writer, Zach Cregger, wanted to make the nightmares to be known they were nightmares because he says he doesn't like when you realize he doesn't like when you get played by a nightmare because they wake up and you realize it's a nightmare. In another interview with Collider Interviews, Zach Cregger says horror is theatrical, which in my opinion is very real, especially with this movie. The music, the shots make it more surreal while watching, but also terrifying. In a Warner Brothers Entertainment interview, Zach Cregger says the movie was originally only Justine's perspective, but while he was writing, he wanted it to be bigger, so he roped more people into the mystery. And lastly, we will be getting into some Reddit theories on the movie, because there's a lot of theories out there. And I just found a couple on Reddit I'd like to read for you guys. Weapons 2025 theme exploration. It's all about alcoholism. On r/truefilm by 2 Internet 2 Politics. Yes, I want to talk about weapons in r/truefilm. I haven't seen much written about this, so I wanted to share my interpretation of the movie's themes. I believe that the film's story is intentionally written to be very much about drug and alcohol addiction. The triangle circle symbol shown during the credits and on the bell is the logo of many 12-step recovery groups. The film repeatedly returns to the topic of alcoholism, especially through Justine and Paul / the cop. Paul's wife even tells him directly to attend an AA meeting. His response that he'll only go if he starts to feel bad. is a mindset familiar to many in recovery and often a precursor to relapse. Then after the run-in with the addict, he is immediately ready to hit the bar with Justine. Gladys to me represents addiction itself. She can make Alex's parents harm themselves or each other, forcing Alex into a caretaker role, a dynamic many children of addicts will recognize. Zach Cregger even confirmed that Alex's story is largely about growing up with alcohol parents. I didn't see this confirmed anywhere, but I might have missed it. Gladys' ability to activate someone with a ritual mirrors addiction triggers, certain situations, cues, or substances that originate compulsive behavior, found another word I can't say. Why do we spend so much time following James / the drug addict character? He has one goal through the whole movie: get money, score more dope. It drives him to walk through the rain, climb fences, break into houses, even distracting him from the horrifying scene in the house. The addict's single-minded drive mirrors the witch's spell, a hyper-focus that consumes all else. When someone is under the spell, all they care about is whatever Gladys compels them to do. The children disappearing is a circumstantial impact of the spell on the community. I won't argue that it's a perfect metaphor or that I'm 100% dead on, but I definitely think that a fair amount of this was intentional, and I'm curious if anyone else saw the same parallels. I could definitely see this one. Like, even if it's not about that, like, if it wasn't intentional by the director, it's really, like, they would draw all the points about how it could be a metaphor. So I think that's an interesting theory, and it definitely makes sense when it's laid out like this, and honestly, I'd believe it. And yeah, let's read the next theory. I think I figured weapons out under r/weapons movie by Ink and Omens. I just want to start off by saying this is just my opinion. I think Gladys made a deal with something supernatural decades ago, and the payment plan has been eating her alive ever since. So let me break it down. Gladys didn't gain powers, she borrowed them. Her old-fashioned language, her age, her frailty, and the way she talks about consumption all point to someone who made a bargain when she was much younger. Whatever she bargained with feeds on life, not souls or worship. The cost escalates a lot. Early on, she's probably got away with small sacrifices, but the more she attached to that identity, the hungrier she becomes. This is why it suddenly requires 17 kids. Not because of a past disappearances, because the debt was ballooned. Your parents were supposed to keep me alive. Not the exact quote, I know. She tried to feed on Alex's parents, it wasn't enough, so the entity started draining her directly, which is also why she escalated to 17 people. That's why she keeps glitching between harmless grandma, violent monster, and terrified in front of her candles. She isn't in charge, she's deteriorating. 4. The candle ritual scenes are not spells, they're negotiations. I mean, we really didn't see what all went down. She's not conjuring anything, she's begging it to give her more time. There aren't multiple witches. There's one entity that moves to a new host. Gladius is the current host. When she breaks, the entity will move on. And the film strongly suggests Alex is the next target. TLDR. Gladys didn't kidnap kids or learn magic. She made a life extension deal decades ago, and the supernatural debt has gone out of control. Her body is failing, and the entity is starving, and Alex is lined up as her replacement. Yeah, this is a good theory. Honestly, this is another one I'd believe, like, it would make a lot of sense why she's doing this. I think my take was she's doing this because she doesn't want to die, and she found a loophole to not die by doing witchcraft. So my first take was, yeah, she's postponing her inevitable death by eating people's souls. I don't know, feeding on their life. I don't know. That was my take on it. That's what I thought was happening. But I love reading theories because I love to read it and hear what other people thought of. Because you might have watched it and thought of something different. But I couldn't find exactly where it says what's going on exactly. So I think it's up to you kind of weapons movie. My theory to the ending of the 2025 film Weapons, under r/movies. Okay, so after finishing Weapons and sitting with the ending, I think people are missing the real twist. Everyone keeps saying Gladys is dead. The kids are traumatized but free. Nah, that doesn't line up with what we actually see. Here's my theory. Gladys controlled people by breaking twigs plus attaching personal objects, hair, clothes, etc. That's her whole ritual. She didn't hypnotize anyone out of thin air. It was physical, object-based witchcraft. When Alex uses her hair on the twig with his blood and snaps it, he's not just destroying her spell, he's using her own magic against her, which means he learned the process in the traumatizing time he had spent watching her and taking care of his family and those poor kids. In doing so, Alex doesn't free the kids. He binds them under himself, if that same logic applies to when Gladius was doing blood rituals. He has now accidentally made them his puppets. The final shot where the kids are standing silently, catatonic, even after Gladius is torn apart. That's not lingering trauma. That's them still bound, but this time to Alex. So what does that mean? When Gladys died, her puppets were released. The same rule applies now. The kids will only be released when Alex dies. Alex didn't end the curse, he inherited it. Power didn't disappear, it was transferred. If that was Cregger's intent, and given how much he loves the cycles of abuse, trauma, and power in his work, I bet it was. Then the ending is way darker than people realize. Alex isn't the savior, he's the new Gladys. What do you all think? I noticed a lot of people saying how the kids were just traumatized, but I feel like it's so much deeper than that. I feel Zach has this central theme of power being transferred, and that would perfectly fit my claim. This one I can see being real. The only thing I don't really see with it is, how does that just transfer Alex into control of the kids? Well, no, because like when he snaps the trick, all the kids go after Gladys. Is that them being controlled by Alex, or is that them just angry? Sorry. I don't know. This one is another one that could be possible. It would make sense. I just thought, like, by snapping a twig of Gladys, that would kill her. But it would make more sense if she, like, just dropped dead then. And all the control was released. Why did they go after Gladys and rip her apart? That would make more sense, as if they're now under Alex's control, and Alex wanted that to happen. I feel like we don't have really a big explanation on how exactly Gladys's magic works, where she got the magic, like that kind of thing. We just have, like, how she does it. We don't really know how she does it. We know the action she takes to do it, but we don't know, like, how exactly she's controlling these people and all that. But anyway, yeah, because, like, it makes sense she could snap a twig and make them kill someone, but, like, making the mom walk out and cut Justine's hair, how did she do that? Like, is it just, like, your mind? Because that would make sense, because Alex would be like, kill Gladys. And then all the kids would go after Gladys. Huh. Wow, I just talked myself into believing that one. A girl needs another cup of coffee. I'm not drinking coffee because it stains my teeth, but a girl needs another cup of coffee. Okay, so this isn't a theory, but I found this one and it made me chuckle. Under r/horror, Weapons, characters had no idea what was even happening. This is probably extremely random and unnecessary, but watching the final act, I find it extremely funny that none of the lead characters, Justine or Archer, had any idea WTF was actually going on. Nobody had even met Gladys or understood her plan. That's so true. Justine and Archer had no idea who Gladys was. They didn't know that Alex's aunt was staying. They didn't know the parents were under these robot controls. They didn't know any of that. And they're just in there like, who the hell is this old woman? Like, did Justine even know the kids were down there at this point? Probably not. I mean, Archer kind of stumbled in on them. They literally walked into the house and all hell broke loose. I find it hilarious that they are genuinely like, what the actual F is happening right now? Shooting her lover in the head and then suddenly seeing some bald old woman running for her life through the house followed by a ravenous bunch of kids. That's a funny way to put it. Not the love of your life or shooting her lover, but the fact that she was just standing there, like going, and then she just sees this random old lady running through the house with 17 kids after her. I'm sure Alex would have explained after, but in the moment, they would have all been extremely perplexed, more than any other ensemble I've ever seen in a film. That's so real. That's so real. That is kind of funny. If I was just like chilling, what about the people's houses they ran through? They must be really fucking confused. Like, yeah. Those are the theories. If you can't tell, I need to go to sleep or drink another cup of coffee. That's all. I hope you loved this movie review. And I hope if you've watched this movie or you're now going to watch it, you love it. Again, I've not been a fan of new horror movies for a while now. I rarely actually watch them. I think they're all gore, no story. But this one, I just watched because I knew it was big on TikTok. And it really, like, gave me hope for new horror movies because I really liked it. I loved how unsettling it was. I loved the details. The storyline was terrifying. Like, it invoked emotion in you. You can normally see a jump scare coming, but you could not see any of the jump scares coming in this movie. Just very, very real. I'm thinking about being Gladys for Halloween. Now that I can say her name right, I'm thinking about being Gladys for Halloween. I've actually was like, last Christmas, I was like, next Halloween, I gotta be Gladys. But I feel like everyone's gonna be Gladys. So I don't know. But, on that yawn, I would go. Oh, wait. I rate the movie 9 out of 10. Got to throw that in there. I rate it 9 out of 10. Or 4 out of 5. Loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Give me so many recommendations on movies you want me to watch. Let's talk about movies that are coming out that we want to see. I really want to see Backrooms. I'm also going to be seeing the new Scary Movie. I know that's not a horror movie, but I'm really excited for Backrooms. A24 has some really interesting horror movies coming out. I really need to watch Obsession. I've been seeing a lot of discourse about it online, and I feel like I really need to watch it. And I probably should review it. But yeah, on that note, I'm gonna go. I need coffee. I need to stop talking. My mouth is dry. But I love talking about horror movies. Thank you for watching this and giving me the time to talk about it. I hope you enjoyed. Follow my TikTok if you want. Follow my Instagram if you want. They're gonna be down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye. Remember to stay on and off footing.